This is a story of an email that I sent to some of our students in May of this year. It was just 3 lines long, 34 words. I had no idea when I sent it how much it would dominate my summer or what I'd learned from it about student success. It started pretty innocuously. I was playing around with filters in SSC. Spring grades had just, right? Okay, yeah, okay. We've all been there. Spring grades had just posted, and I thought, let me take a high-level rough cut of where our students are. So I looked at every student with a 3.0 or better, term GPA in spring, but didn't have a schedule for summer or fall. I shot out a quick email to them. Good morning. Glad to see the spring semester went well for you. I noticed you're not enrolled for summer or fall yet. Anything I can do to help with that? And that was it. 4,000 students. That didn't sound like a lot at the time. I hit send, went to a meeting. Hour later, I came back. 100 unread emails. 100. Thought, oh, well, surely, something got through the spam filter, or I'm getting bounce backs, or, maybe I've been hacked. No. Took a look. They were all original. They were all unique. They were all specific responses. Some were angry. And they kept coming. I love my job. I didn't want to quit. So had to fight that first impulse, select all, delete, close the browser window. It was exhilarating, I was very excited, but not the good kind. Right? By the end of that first day, I'm an inbox 0 guy. Do you know what that means? Yeah. Over the next few days, we got almost 1,300 responses. Almost a 35% response rate. And some unique and first replies to that email were coming to me as late as August. So there was a long delay from that one initial outreach. May was a good time in this semester in the academic calendar, right? Orientation hadn't started, spring was done, so I thought, well, I've got to do something with these. I dug in, we started going through them one at a time, put a team together, and we started working through them. And very quickly, that fear and dread kind of turned into curiosity and ultimately empowerment. Started going through them one at a time. And I discovered that there were a lot of really simple things, easy fixes that we could implement to get these students back on track. So often it was our own internal, cumbersome processes that were keeping students from progressing. The parking one, I think, really stuck out the most. Really? We're preventing registration because of a $35 parking ticket? I can get why we have a registration hold for a library book. We need to reclaim that resource. But a parking ticket, the car's moved, or we've had the car moved, right? We've reclaimed the space, right? Why are we saying you can't continue in our university until you pay this $35 ticket? We're driving them out of our school for $35. We're not going to get the $35 back, surprise, right? If they're not enrolling, they're not going to pay the fine either. It's not just a short-term financial or short-sighted thing to do. It's morally the wrong thing to do. There were other things too. We've grown a lot as an institution. We started in 2010 with 23,000 students. Now we're just around 36,000 7 years later. Surprisingly, our resources have not kept pace with that growth. So we've run into a lot of challenges, and we knew that. We know we don't have enough classes. We know we don't have enough sections. We know we don't have enough seats. But this really put into stark relief how bad the problem was And while we were doing some things, our registration calendar made no sense. We were creating pain points for ourselves. This gave us an opportunity to take some information back to the decision makers and say, we've got to flatten this curve. We've got to level out these demands. We've got to provide better pathways. We've got to provide more off-ramps. There were simple technology changes too. We had a lot of students who were undecided or more likely maybe misdecided. And they knew what they wanted to do. They knew that where they wanted to be, but they didn't know how to change their major in the system. And it's an easy thing to do, a couple of mouse clicks. But that simple thing was enough of a barrier that it just shut them down. They'd write things like, I know where I want to go, I know where I want to be, I know what I'm trying to do, I just don't know how to get there. So this allowed us to connect them to the appropriate resource and get them back on track. We had students that were just mad at the university or the universe or the world, and they were just going to rage quit the university over simple, stupid, little things that were easy to fix. By reaching out, I was able to talk them off the ledge, get them connected with the right folks, and get them back in school for the next semester. As I've gotten older, I've kind of changed my views on communicating with students and how we should do it. When I was younger, I was very angry when students would read my email. If you ignore these things that the university sends you, you're doing so at your own peril. It's going to cost you. And maybe that's true. But also, I've come to see that not every student is in that place in their personal development. They're not all going to do that. And if I send an email like the one I did that reads really more like a text than an email, well, maybe that's not modeling the best communication, but it opened the door for future communication. So maybe we can have that conversation down the road. I think a lot of what we write, a lot of our communication, not just our email, but our websites, our messaging, it's written in the language of the faculty and staff. It's not written in the language of our students. It's written to inform, not to engage. I don't think that's the way to go. Now, instead of what I sent, I could have written a 17-paragraph with 87 hot links and 2/3 of the undergraduate catalog email that contained all the answers to all the questions that I got from all 1,300 students who wrote to me. But they're not going to read that. I'm not going to read that. For sure, our students aren't going to read that. So I think this little email experiment, it taught me a couple things. The brevity of the message, the fact that it was open-ended, how can I help? That seemed to kind of drive that response rate that was more than I expected. But it was great. It was great to have that opportunity. How can I help? Just ending with something that open-ended. I had so many students who wrote me, I know what I'm doing, I'm on track, I'm going to get there. Thank you so much for checking on me. It really means a lot that the university cares and is paying attention. I guess the last thing I learned from this is that if I'm always doing the work of an administrator, if I'm always just clicking around and playing with filters in SSC, it's easy for me to lose sight of the day-to-day struggles, the challenges that our students are experiencing, and what they're going through. It's good for me to get in the weeds. I appreciate the work we're doing. I appreciate the tremendous benefit that technology has in affecting change. It's wonderful that with just a few mouse clicks, I can send out an email to 4,000 students. But if I'm going to change the needle, if I'm going to move the needle, if I'm going to make an impact on student success, the only way I know how to do it is one at a time. Thank you.